Supportables, week 10's in the books. I'll get to how many weeks we have left near the end of this video, but right now to celebrate week 10, it was a pretty hectic one. We had our high score actually play our low score. We had the undefeated team looking like it was going to go down. It was coming down to Monday night. A few of the teams that definitely needed that win got it, and our playoff structure, we'll see how we end up bouncing out at the end. So first off, some NFL news, then we'll get to our league. Wrapping up after week 10, we can see not only am I focusing so much on the fantasy season ending, but obviously the NFL season's coming into full form, and we're really getting a good sense of where things are at. The funny thing was, I'm pretty sure someone that looked like me at the start of the season was talking about the AFC and how there should be a lot more offenses and defenses and teams to watch out for and a lot of matches. And we've kind of seen a lot more parity, I think, than we thought. The AFC is just kind of chaos if you think about it, and Vegas isn't always right. Obviously, we know the pros and cons of sports books, but Chiefs Ravens AFC final I think is still the highest odd or the best odds at this point, when one of those teams isn't in the playoffs and the other one just kind of started to look okay. But the schedules are kind of ironing out, and the Chiefs still have a pretty rough schedule heading forward. Getting into the playoffs is, like I said, I think last week, not a given. The Ravens, however, you're starting to look, and you can kind of see how the next weeks are going to play out. And if Jax is in, I don't think there's too many people would fight you in saying that they're probably going to just win the North, because I don't think there's that many people that think the Steelers are legit. Could be totally wrong, though. I guess we have to wait and see. But I think we're forgetting about some of the other leagues. I mean, the Colts are obviously surprising, and the South might have two teams come out, but I mean, looking at Jacksonville and Houston, crazy stat. I didn't realize this, that like Lawrence is 1-3 against Mills, and Mills only has 6 career wins at quarterback, half of them against Jacksonville and Lawrence. So I guess we'll see how they bounce back. But realistically, the one that's kind of spiting us, I think most people assume the Bills would walk with the East, and they're kind of being super inconsistent. And the Miami game, I think, was a big surprise. Sometimes you go into Miami and it's kind of a meh game anyway, but I wouldn't go ahead and say everyone saw that one coming last week. But the thing that sucks that no one really wants to talk about, or some people really, really want to talk about, and we're just annoyed with them talking about it. Sorry, Patriots fans. I know there's a few of you in the leagues here, but we had this for about 20 years where we just knew every year you were kind of in the conversation because the guy had taken the snaps. And low key, I think most of us kind of enjoyed the last couple of years where you were scrambling at quarterback. And now all of a sudden, I mean, I think I made the shot earlier. Is Drake maybe good, maybe bad? I think we've got our answer. He definitely is good, and he may be elite. And that sucks, man. We had to deal with the Patriots having a good quarterback for so long. Couldn't the honeymoon period have gone a little bit longer in between another potential franchise quarterback? I know they're saying he's a young Josh Allen, but Josh Allen made way more mistakes in his first couple years so far than Drake is, but I don't know, kind of a bummer, and I certainly don't want to talk more about the AFC because the NFC seems where the show is. Even leading into this week, I think the game of the week and possibly the game of this half of the season, we're up for two teams that have clear flaws but aren't showing them. I mean, the Rams have a quarterback who we all thought at the beginning of the year, or a lot of us thought, can't really move, and so if you get him out of the pocket and get him running, you should have an advantage. September 21st was the last time Stafford threw a pick, knock on something. I'm not trying to jinx him. Since then, he's thrown 20 touchdowns, no interceptions in the last 6 games, and is probably right now the sneaky bet for MVP or someone who might come out of the weeds to do it. Now, their running game has been a little inconsistent and certainly, like I said, the flaw in quarterback, but it does not matter. And they're going up against a team that can barely run the ball and yet have 2 guys who's often on fantasy starting teams, and a quarterback that, I mean, Minnesota didn't want. Other teams have had chances to pass on and is just looking electric with a young wide receiver. So their offense isn't supposed to be dynamic. Their defense is supposed to be good. And yet they're putting up like Texas high school football numbers. They're scoring full games worth of points by midway through the second quarter. So those teams going head to head, I am certainly pumped about going into week 11. I don't like talking a lot about the week in advance because I like to keep at least something to myself. So I'll finish with 2 points I noticed from last week. Number one, in that Colts game overseas, I think we forget sometimes that the refs are probably jet lagged too. I mean, they kind of botched a couple calls and then at the end forgot who was supposed to call the coin toss in overtime. So are we supposed to just assume that everybody's off their game there? And the second is, I don't even want to talk too much about Brian Daboll and he got fired, but like, yeah, he should have been fired halfway through the game. I mean, if you watch that, it's one of those like, the first few times you watch shows like The Office and it got super cringy, and some people can handle that and some can't. I think we can deal with that in our comedies, but not in our head traumas, please. I mean, Dart has already had more design runs called for him than anyone else in the league. And if you include all kind of quarterbacks that Dayball's had, it is something he just doesn't seem to care so much about. It's not like they're really teaching him how to slide well. He's kind of going full out. I'm not going to blame him for Scadaboo's injury, but you have a lot of guys that are contact first, and young contact first guys do need to be taught how to not be contact first guys. It takes more than a season, but that doesn't mean you have to call the shots. And it certainly doesn't mean you should be going in the blue tent to try and convince them to come back in and quickly and then putting him in the game, getting hurt. I know it was a bad scene, but it does raise the question. Had that been a worse injury at the end, could he be charged with that? If you're putting people who can't defend themselves on the field, I mean, it's not that bad. I'm not trying to make a huge issue out of it. We don't have evidence about how bad Dart was before, but he certainly didn't look like he should be on the field, and then he was, and now he's definitely not. So fired one thing, but I don't know. The states like to kind of sue everybody. Can a coach get sued? I actually don't know the answer to that. Let me know if you do. Anywho, I could obviously keep going, but Week 11's around the corner, so let's close the book on Week 10, fantasy-wise first. Then we'll get looking ahead. So it is one of the weeks where our worst played our best. So we'll get to them last because I like to have their worst finish off. But this matchup was an epic one for second place right now. Second place has a huge, huge advantage. You do get to skip the first round, and you don't have to worry about that 1 week, so you can jump right into the semis. So Kickass has been up and down, but mostly up in one of the hottest teams going. But so have the Raw Doggers, so it's good to pay attention to this one. Now, on the Kick-Ass side, the usual suspects that have been kind of carrying him through here. In Caleb Williams, he was the QB5. Randomly had, Digger the kicker as kicker 3. Kittle, great performance, tight end 2. I think some of the problems was, number 1, DJ Moore, just a no-show. That's no good. JSN wasn't really needed, so he had a great first quarter, great first half, and then wasn't really called upon very much. And then CMC had one of the low weeks I think he's had pretty much all year. And that was pretty much enough to do it. That and Geno, but, we can't really count on Geno a whole lot. Made a lot of the right calls, had some bye issues, things like that. So I know they're not super worried about moving forward, but this one would have been a nice one. Raw Doggers, you kind of took it to him. And again, some of your similar people, good receiver play. Drake was the wide receiver 3. You also had a massive running back performance in running backs 3 and 5, respectively. Didn't really have your tight end play from the week before, but didn't really need it. And if we look on your bench as well, Woody Marks was there. You also were dealing with some injuries, etc., etc. Second highest score, second best team. Looking good coming into the playoffs. Despite my low predicted, I did manage to muscle one out this week. Now, it is unfortunate, Fourth and Conquer. You deserve this one too. You were over predicted, and you had Achane go off, and even Breece Hall wasn't top 10, but running back 2 performance, and the only reason he wasn't running back 2 is because of our running back 1. We'll get to him later, and it's our running back 1. I'm not just making it cute. We did both agree to leave some points on the bench. You had the wide receiver 1 in Jameson Williams. Ouch. I had the defense 5, so not as bad, but, it's a nice agreement. I also had the kicker 1. Who would have seen that one coming? Dart, I did deal with some injury issues. Slayton as well. The Giants apparently just had a coach who liked to feed him to the Lions, but Dart did get QB4 status before he left. And obviously my big surprise, Travion Henderson, running back 4. Everybody else did just enough to get by. Started the wrong Seattle running back. I also decided to give Harvey a crack when maybe Harvey shouldn't have gotten a crack. But hey, doesn't matter. Got the win. Needed the win. So did you, Fourth and Conquer. It's not over yet, but you're going to have to make a run. Speaking of gonna have to make a run, exact same situation bumped in here. Norcan, tough one to drop. You do drop down to 10th. Again, it doesn't mean you're out, but it's really getting closer and closer. So you want to make sure every week you put it out there. Now, you did have some performances still. Wide receiver 5 there in Ibuka. You had the tight end 5 here. You also did have, we have to scroll down, Stafford on your bench. 4 touchdowns would have been cool, I'm pretty sure. That was the QB2 performance, so yeah, that would have been nice. Now, would it have made the difference? would have been real close, but I'm not really sure. We can do some math. You definitely would have been tighter on that one. On Jackie's side, it was much more consistency. Now, she did get the tight end 3 off waivers, so great call there. And your defense massively overperformed. Other than that, everyone did close to what they were supposed to. Some bad performances, some good. It balanced out to just over predicted. That's all you needed. So congrats on the wins, Jackie. You're certainly there, just like me on the outside looking in. Norcan, no time like the present. Gonna have to get a win this week. For most of the weekend, I thought it was going to happen. Bench looked like they were going down. Ball too well at a really good time. They needed the win, and then Monday night happened, and Hurts, I mean, his main job is to fall forward, and he couldn't even do that. I was mentioning in the NFL piece, they've got one of the most electric offenses, one of the best running backs in this generation, you could probably say. That might be a little overhyped, but certainly one of the most talented. 2 top receivers, 2 Pro Bowl receivers, and he can't even fall forward right and get you to the touchdowns. It was a boring game. You must have been drawn through it. Now, you did have the tight end 1 performance, so well done there. You had the super upside A.J. Brown performance. You did have a great kicker combo, kicker 5, Seattle defense 1. All the intangibles were there. Just taking a look at your bench. You had a massive bye issue, but you also had some points on the bench. Now, so did you bench, but you pulled it out, didn't you? Marcus Mariota even showed up for you, just calling in all of the favors. If you take a look, not a lot of top 5 performances. You did have the kicker too. And then you just muscled it out. And again, on the Monday night, you called in all your favors. But sometimes when things are going right, they're just going right. You've already clinched the playoffs. You're getting real close to clinching a top 2 seed, so keep the party going. Ball too well, you're still technically in the playoffs, but there's a lot of teams tied, as we're going to see, so you're really going to need to show up next week. As mentioned, in a really clutch matchup, 2 teams that are still in the playoff hunt, but as we're going to see in the schedule in just a moment, it's going to get tight. Malakoff's had the biggest week of the weekend, and unfortunately, normally there's someone below 100 and really stinks, but everyone showed up at least partially. Family, you were destined to win this one, and you just didn't. I'm sorry about that. I paused for no particular reason, and you got Harrison, who's out with, I believe, a pancreatic surgery, something like that. Anyway, Denver was the defense 4. That was kind of your lone star in terms of your big performance, and even if we look at your bench, you did have Jerry Jeudy coming out. You think that would be enough to kind of get you going. But unfortunately for you, it wasn't. Goff was the quarterback 3. You will note I did not say a quarterback 1 this week. That's because no one started Mills, not shockingly, but maybe shockingly that he was there. And of course, we can look at Olave. That's a great performance. Wide receiver 4. Sure. 53 performance from one person, Jonathan Taylor. He's just keep on keeping on, isn't he? Anywho, not much more we can say about him other than if someone's going to take it from him, I guess someone maybe can capture fantasy MVP, but we got to think it's him, especially when he was drafted and how he was drafted. Great pickup, Malakovs. Great recovery. And let's look at these standings to see just how much of an impact that was. As mentioned, it was a pivotal one. Malakoff's, that win does put you in at least partially the driver's seat. If you win, you've got that edge and you can stay top 4. You got a bunch of teams just waiting for you to fall. Some of them have more points than you, so they can leapfrog you. Some do not, and we'll see how the matchups kind of favor that one. Like I'm suggesting, 9 and 10, you're not out of it yet, but with the points that you have scored, you're going to have to go on a bit of a run. There's not too many more kind of margins for error here. We did have a little jumbling here in the top spots, and bench just holds on. I got to think we're pretty close to saying they're going to get one of the top 2 seeds, pretty much guaranteed. And that bye will be helpful. So maybe don't start everyone you need this week. Take your time. No one wants to be undefeated going into the playoffs, right? Because that's just jinxing yourself to lose in the semifinal for sure. So maybe drop one a little bit early. That would be cool for everybody. I don't know. Just saying. Looks like we have a lot of top playing our bottom here, except for here. Another huge matchup. Kick-Ass coming off the loss. Malakoff's coming off the win. Other than that, we also have our 5-6 duking it out. So we know when every point's going to matter. Every matchup's going to matter. Let's wrap this up so we can get into football action. Countdown's officially on. 4 weeks left. We are kind of in the middle of it. Remember, there is an Espanol game coming up. Weird situation where there's 2 Hawaii quarterbacks playing each other. Went to the same high school. This has got to be a first, and yet I'm pretty sure Hawaii's going to have to wake up middle of the night or just keep partying to actually watch the game that is in Spain. Other than that, it should be a pretty normal schedule, but I don't know if there's anything left that we can consider normal. Either way, make sure your lineups are in order because every point is going to count. Best of luck in Week 11, everybody.